This conference will now be recorded.
So we'll officially start, even though it's only the four of us, which again is just so odd because they're always here. But we'll find out what happened. Maybe there's something happening in the world and we're the four that don't know about it and we should be paying attention to it. But welcome all to our ANCAN support group. This is November. I can't get over that it's November.
Yes.
And I'm Michelle Nadine Baker in Boston, one of the mods here. And I have chronic lymphocytic leukemia. And I know that I want to welcome Kim Cook, who's our newest member. Hi, Kim. And Kim and I have been, I guess you'd say, Instagram chatting and email chatting. And I actually had her on Kicking Cancer in Heels. It's one of our sponsors for this particular blood cancers meeting. And I've gotten to know her a bit, but I had mentioned to her about this meeting and also that Sally is just an incredible myeloma coach if she was looking for a woman coach. And Herb, that you have a good amount of information as well because of your brother. Right. And you're taking the time to learn about it, which is wonderful. Good, you're a good sibling, Herb. Now, I don't see my sister on these.
What does your brother have?
He has multiple myeloma. He has had MM for about a year and a half. So, and we've been, where I'm a scientist and my wife also works somewhat in multiple myeloma. So we've been sort of involved in helping with his decision making.
So can I ask questions? Since we're about the same time. I was diagnosed in December of 21, and so I just finished up my stem cell transplant in August, and tomorrow is my first appointment with my oncologist since I had the transplant. So it's day 80 for me tomorrow, and so I'll be going. So where is he in his process?
He's further along. He had his transplant in January.
Okay. Good. Is he feeling good? And
he looks great. He's feeling fine and he looks great.
Good.
So I think he's still on lenalidomide, but I think that's about the only drug he's on right now.
Yeah, that's what I will take. At Vanderbilt they call it Revlimid, I guess.
Right. That's the
the drug name, I guess, is what it is. But I should be on that. I'm not sure when I'm going to start, but we'll see.
So why don't we, before we go too much further, Kim, let's ask Joel and we have Lynn here tonight too. Do you guys want some time to talk?
Do you want some time?
I don't know.
Give us an update on.
I'm still going through treatments every 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay, so I just want to poll first before we move on and take up too much time with everybody. And Lynn, would you like some time tonight?
Probably a minute or two.
Okay, so I guess we'll give everybody some time, but Kim, let's continue with you.
So I just was curious to know where he was and how he was feeling, because I'm the same way. I feel great. They caught mine really early, and they had to stage me at stage 2 because I also at the same time had a plasmacytoma on my spine and had to have spinal fusion surgery. But I mean, I feel great. So I'm excited. I'm excited and nervous about tomorrow. I'm hoping they'll tell me everything I want to hear, or I might just get up and leave.
Well, so how did your transplant go? The first 30 days were rough and then
Actually, no. In Nashville, they do it a little bit differently. So at Vanderbilt, I never spent any time in the hospital. I had my transplant in their stem cell unit. I went home that afternoon, And then we had to come to the hospital every day for them to do my labs and check me and all that stuff. And then once my numbers started going up, which was like around day 10 or so, I would get breaks. They would say, you know, your numbers are really good. You don't come back tomorrow, come back the next day.
Okay.
Then it was 3 days. And then they said, you're going to graduate on day 25 instead of 30. So I
Hmm.
graduated early. So I think that they just really caught it early. And I'm very proactive in what I did. I mean, I did everything they told me to do. I did spend 4 nights in the hospital because I got tonsillitis, which is, you know, the diverticulitis for cancer patients. I got that, and they
Hmm.
were monitoring me for that. But I haven't had any flare-ups since then, so they think it was just related to the treatment.
What was the name of that again? That's
Tonsillitis is what they call it. So
So
it's
you
like,
scheduled to get your immunizations when?
I'm hoping that they're going to give me, at the very least, COVID and flu tomorrow. And then I won't get my childhood immunizations until February.
Hmm. Right.
Does that sound about the same schedule that your brother was
Yeah.
on?
Right. He just got his about 2 weeks ago. So it's kind of amusing because his wife is a pediatrician, but she didn't give it to him.
That's probably a good, maybe that's a good thing. Then if he had any reaction, he wouldn't be able to blame her. Kim, I'm sorry, I missed what tomorrow is, which appointment for you?
It's day 80 for me. So I'm going to see the nurse practitioner. I'm going to have labs, the 24-hour protein test. I'll turn that in, and they're going to do yet another bone marrow biopsy. So that's one of the things that's been very interesting for multiple myeloma patients. You know, it's supposed to be in your bone marrow. I've had 4 negative bone marrow biopsy tests
Huh.
every single time.
Wow.
And they're looking at MMR,
I'm sorry.
minimum residual MRD.
I'm hoping they're going to give me, they call it NED here, which is no
Hmm.
evidence of disease. So that's what I'm
Hmm.
hoping that they are going to tell me that I have. And I haven't had any of the monoclonal protein in my blood since mid-April,
Hmm.
I guess. That was the last time. That was towards the end of my treatment. And I did the VRD treatment here in
Hmm.
Nashville and then had
Yeah,
stem
he
cells.
did DRVD.
Mhm. So what's the extra D?
Uh, I forget. It's RVD plus one, the newest drug.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I didn't like the way some of that stuff made me feel, but it seemed to do its job, and I only had to go through 3 rounds, so that was
Mhm.
nice.
And is it usually given for more than 3 rounds, Kim?
Depends on where you're staged, I think. So he talked initially about doing 4 rounds, and then he changed his mind and he said, let's just do 3. So,
Hi, Lynn.
Well, hello, Michelle. That's a different hairstyle.
It's known as, yeah, this is my normal hair if I don't blow it dry. And if it
Oh.
wasn't humid, if it was humid out, it could be like this wide. I don't know. I'm not really sure because I usually blow it dry.
Well, I went to the barber shop today too. Got my hair fixed there. So
Nice hairdo there.
thank you very much. Yeah, I don't have to blow it dry. It dries in about 2 or 3 seconds. My screen
Lynn,
says
So,
nobody's talking. Are y'all hearing me?
right. So
yes, we
Kim,
can hear. So,
the first
Lynn,
D is daratumumab.
oh,
So that
wow.
was added to RVD.
Okay. No, I did not take that. I just took the dexamethasone and the Revlimid and the
Revlimid and Velcade.
yes.
Right. But then his docs, I mean, that sort of was a new trial this year. So saying that
Wow.
the DRVD did better.
So
Hmm.
that Tuzumab, that would be a monoclonal antibody.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I think it's the CD38. So,
All these syllables and all these drugs, do they each mean something, Herb?
well, I mean, the drugs have to have somehow every new drug has to have a Z or an X in it. But for some reason, I taught pharmacology for 30 years at a medical school. So I used to know all these drugs, but since I've been away from it, everything's new.
Jeff
Nothing. I don't
Olander.
think anything I taught is per se.
Jeff
So
Olander said that if you're Arnold Schwarzenegger, you can say the words better. Well, benzotuzumab.
That's so true. Somebody told me that once about obinutuzumab and is it ofatuzumab or ofa? I'm trying to remember. They was like, just think of yourself as Arnold. And I was like, and ever since then, I could say them just like you did. So when in doubt, Kim.
So that's Kim. That's great that things are working out so well.
So
But obviously they caught it early.
Yes, very early.
So what were your symptoms? Or was it simply a blood test?
No, I actually, because I had the plasmacytoma on my spine, I was having back and neck and arm pain. And finally, my left arm from about 2 inches above my elbow to my wrist went completely numb. And I'm like, okay, we got to do something different here. And I was going to the chiropractor because I was working from home and thought that was the problem. And, so I went to see my regular doctor and he set me up with an MRI, and they looked at the MRI, and the people that did the MRI, they were like, this is way out of our league. And so they turned my file over to a neurosurgeon named Dr. Timothy Lockney here in Nashville. And he called me, his office called me on Thursday night and said, you need to be ready to go into the hospital tomorrow. And they ran all my testing and stuff in the hospital because he didn't want me walking around because of that plasmacytoma. He said, your chiropractor's very lucky she didn't sever your spine.
Ooh.
And
Wow.
you're lucky you didn't step off of a curb because you could have been paralyzed for life.
Whoa.
So that's been scary. And I'm hoping all that, I did radiation treatment for that after I finished the BRD because they left a little tiny piece in because they needed it for stability when they put the cages and stuff in my spine. And so they radiated that part. So I'm anxious to find out when I'll know that worked and it's gone.
Is that
How long?
plasmacytoma part of the multiple myeloma?
Yeah,
No.
it's I don't know. They say that it is because it directed the plasma cells there. But with multiple, this is what they told me here in Nashville. With multiple myeloma, you could have those plasma cells in your big toe and not know it. It doesn't necessarily have to be in your bone marrow. I'm not an expert, so I'm just repeating what I was told. So,
Herb, does that sound
I'm
about
not
right?
I don't I mean I'm
Kim,
not sure.
I haven't heard of that, Kim. I have heard of all kinds of
They said it's similar. I mean, I'm just reading, and they said it's an isolated tumor that's similar to multiple myeloma.
yes. But my doctor, we call him Doctor because his name is Dr. Baljevic and it's just easier to call him Dr. B. So he said that those cells, they have to come from somewhere. So they're being driven by the monoclonal spike in my blood. But it didn't ever go to my bone marrow. It just went to that spot. And what it did was it pushed and ate my T1 vertebrae, pushed it up and out of the way to the left, which is why I was having so much pain on my left side. And so they had to remove all of that. Excuse me.
Hmm.
I've never been in the hospital, never had an operation, never been intubated. I've done so many things I've never done in my whole life, and I just turned 60. So I was like, okay,
Never had a bone marrow biopsy.
never, never. Now tomorrow will be my 5th one.
Well, how are they? How do they do a good job there on the bone marrow biopsies?
Yeah, they give you twilight medicine, which I highly recommend.
Do
Well,
you
Um,
remember
Joe
anything?
has them without the medicine.
Yeah, no, I would never
He,
do it.
he said that it doesn't hurt that bad.
No, you feel the pressure and you hear the sound, but my oncologist, he told me to take my phone and my earbuds, and then when they tell me they're going to start to drill or go in, I just turn my music up really, really loud and I can't hear them.
Good.
Well, they give me Michael Jackson's drug, propofol, and I dance. I just dance until they wake me up.
Right. Yeah, I had propofol for mine.
They gave me nothing but a piece of leather to bite on. I'm serious. They didn't give me the leather, but it's just they kept telling me it doesn't hurt. I must be experiencing anxiety, that it's all in my head, but no, it hurts a lot, and there's reasons
Oh,
why they give people these things. So Kim, thanks to what you told me, and then someone else I know, I'm unsure, but I may request they do whatever twilight or whatever it is they call
yeah,
it.
whatever they can do, because the last one that I had before stem cell and all that, I let the nurse talk me out of not doing the twilight medicine. And when it was over, the other nurse reached down and she touched me on the shoulder and she said, I am so sorry. She should never have told you that. And I said, you better find her and tell her, because if I do, it is not going to be pretty.
I've had several, yeah, and it's never, it's yeah, the first time was the shocker.
My first one was with just the local deadening around the skin. And as they drilled down into the bone and began coring it, uh, I broke out in a cold sweat and my blood pressure started dropping and I began throwing up. And my wife was there holding my hand and holding the trash can. And so when we went to MD Anderson, which was about 2 weeks later, they said they wanted to do another one. And we said, that's fine as long as you knock me out. And so they knock me out and they do bilateral. They do 2 at a time, one on each side, put me and when it's over, they wake me up from the most wonderful nap, send me on my way and in a wheelchair. And I go from there for a CAT scan or whatever else is up. And probably within 20 minutes after they've finished it, I'm out of the wheelchair and I'm up and walking around. So
Oh, so it doesn't, you don't get that effect like when you have a colonoscopy, that being tired for a while.
how did you know that's what I wanted to talk about? I'll save that report for later.
Oh, because I think I saw something you posted about that. Maybe that's why it was in my mind, but yeah, I'm going to, because it is, yeah, it's just not a walk in the park. Joe, I take it you said you've had you didn't think it was too bad, a bone marrow biopsy?
I've had 4 of them, and there's some parts are uncomfortable, but most of it doesn't really cause me much pain.
Do they give you anything for it or knock you out?
I don't think so.
No, they're just local.
You're a tough person, much tougher than the rest of us, I guess, here.
Well,
Um,
I mean, at MD Anderson, the department, that's all they do. The first
Yeah.
one he had was locally here, and that one was they put him to sleep for that one. And I was glad they did. But since he's been at MD Anderson, it's not been, I mean, they did one in the room when he was in the hospital, and I watched. It was crazy. Oh,
Reminds me of medieval torture.
Mm-hmm.
it looked, that thing
We were
looked
at
like,
MD
looks like
Anderson.
a corkscrew.
We were at MD Anderson back in 1977 with our 3.5-year-old son, and they did a bone marrow biopsy.
Oh,
And back in
hmm.
those days, they did not even deaden the skin. You just
Went in.
laid
Oh,
on your stomach, and they did it. At MD Anderson's where I go, and I understand now that they have a special electric drill that they use,
yeah.
and if
Well,
that
Joe,
doesn't do it, they have a chainsaw.
Joe will have one next week. We're going back next week.
So where do you get treated?
At MD Anderson, he gets treated.
Near
Houston.
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 You'll have to let us know in December at our meeting if it's this new electric thing and if their protocol now is to put you out or just let you be awake, which is where I go. I've had countless because I was on a trial over some years, so I don't even know how many I've had. Well, and I'm still here, right? But Lynn,
I,
just
I
hearing you say
understand they
that,
also can do one right into the chest, the
Oh,
sternum. I had a friend that had hairy cell leukemia, and he said that they did one there. He said that was not pleasant at all.
oh,
He said that was pretty horrific.
Lynn, I know you've met Hannah through some of the things we've done. That's where they gave her hers for CLL.
Mm.
Was there.
Yeah,
The first doctor, it wasn't a CLL specialist.
yeah.
And
Well, when you do see a doctor or see a technician, that's their job. They just do bone marrow biopsies all day long.
right.
They've got they should have it perfected. If not, they need to be in a different department. Well, Kim, I missed a little bit of this. Let me just get real quickly from you. When were you diagnosed, and when did you have the surgery, and when did you have the stem cell transplant?
I had surgery in December of 21. I was diagnosed sort of at the same time. I guess my official diagnosis date was January the 4th of 22, and I had stem cell on August 16th. So tomorrow is my day 80, and I'm going back for testing and the bone marrow biopsy, and hopefully for them to tell me that I have no evidence of disease.
Hope so.
I sure hope so. I mean, it just, my lifestyle, I just didn't, I've been, I ran marathons and half marathons and did Tough Mudders and did all the things and kept my weight in check and did all the things I was supposed to do. And I was like, this is not supposed to happen. This is just not supposed to happen. So it was a little hard for me to swallow, but I'm okay now.
I think
You'll,
that's a feeling that all of us get.
you'll get back to it.
I hope so. I don't know if I'll ever be able to because of the surgery. I don't know. I probably can run, but it'll be shorter races, which is
Hi,
fine.
Ashley.
So,
That's
yeah,
great.
Kim, so you'll be able to run with you said you had, was it a fusion you said? Did you say
yes,
you
fine.
had
Yeah, they said that it may take me. I see that surgeon also in December because it'll be a year. And so I'm hoping he'll tell me that I'm getting there or whatever, because I still have a lot of just discomfort and tightness, and I don't really have any pain. It's just, like if I want to sit down on the floor and look at something like I'm bending over like this, I can't do it for more than about 2 or 3 minutes. So I'm just, I go to PT for that a couple of times a week. And so hopefully he'll tell me I can start, doing some running to see if I'm going to be able to run.
well, I'll have to keep in touch with you about that because I may have to have a laminectomy with fusions on both sides of my spine at a particular point on my spine. So
Whew. Now,
Yeah.
yeah, they went from the front and the back. They did both. Because
Oh,
of where it was located, they had to go through. But the scar on my front, you can barely see. And then the scar on my back, it's about 8 inches, and I'm 5'2", so it takes up a lot of space on my back.
Mm.
But it's very small. But where they had to remove the my T1 vertebrae, it's kind of got like an indention in it. So that's where I get all the tightness and the pulling. So we'll see what he
My
says.
wife had back surgery, and hers was not 8 inches. It's maybe 2 inches, but there is a little indentation there where they did that. And she was unrelated, nothing to do with cancer, but she was having the sciatica.
Hmm.
So
And it
her
worked.
warranty is expired. So
So Lynn, it worked.
it
The
it did,
surgery
yeah,
worked for her.
yeah, yeah. Of
did
course,
she have a fracture in her spine?
well, she didn't have a fracture. She had a ruptured disc, I believe, is what it was, or slip disc. They have different terms for it, but she fell the other day and Sunday, so I'm taking her to the doctor next week. She's
Oh,
having to deal with vertigo and some of this stuff. I guess just comes from being married to an old man. I don't know. So, Ashley, it's good to have you with us. Kim's been telling us about her surgery and her diagnosis and her stem cell transplant, and uh, she's going tomorrow to get the update on all of her test and everything, and we're hoping she has good news tomorrow.
Hi, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Ashley, it's good to see you.
Good to see everybody.
You have Lynn was mentioning my hair. You have a new look this evening. Is it I can't tell if it's your glasses or just your hair is looking just so nice and full.
Oh, thank you. I guess it's my poofy hair. I didn't
Looks
do
luxurious.
anything with it earlier.
Well, it looks so nice, and it's nice and full now.
It took a while to get here, but yes.
Ashley, could you share, since Kim is new, and I think you may have met Joan, his wife, before, if you could share with them what you had.
Sure. I was diagnosed with uh, ALL in 2018. Actually, it was 4-year anniversary last month.
Ooh.
And
And that would
yeah,
be acute lymphocytic leukemia.
yeah.
Can be very aggressive, I guess.
Usually, yeah, the acute ones are usually more aggressive up front. Yeah.
And how did it feel being where you are now, um, compared to where you were? When you say anniversary, you mean of the date you were diagnosed?
Yeah, the date I was diagnosed. I also had a stem cell transplant. Um, and that, I guess the rebirth day is in April. So this coming April will be 4 years.
So was that birthday on the day you get the stem cells?
Mm-hmm.
So Kim, you'll have one of those then every
Huh.
year.
If
Yeah.
you want, yeah, you can
Yeah.
celebrate that too. Have cake.
Okay.
Well, congratulations, Ashley, on 4 years. And
Thank you.
uh, how are you feeling?
Actually, I feel like I have a cold again. um, it's been a very hectic week. My mom has COVID, and
Mm.
I tested negative. So I'm in Pennsylvania now. My family, I live in New York, and they're in New York. but we have a house in Pennsylvania. So I got my butt here so I wouldn't catch COVID. um, so it looks so far as that I don't have it. I took 2 at-home tests and I did a PCR test, so I'm waiting for the results. But I feel like I have a cold, and I had a flu shot last week. So hopefully it's from that. I don't know.
I hope you don't have it, especially since you went through all those lengths so you wouldn't catch it.
Right.
There's so much going around.
Right.
Yeah, Ashley Kim was telling us earlier that tomorrow she's hoping to get a couple of immunizations. And then in
Mm.
February, I believe she said that she will be getting her childhood immunizations. You probably went through the same thing.
I did, yeah. Not too long ago, I got all of my immunizations. It took a little while for me to get them. Um, so I think they gave me like as much as they could at once.
I had
So
to
do you
wait a
know
year.
why? Do you know why they did? Because they do it here in Nashville. They do it like 6 months after.
I
I
think I
didn't
had
do
some
that.
like medical, reasons why
I
I
got
couldn't get it. Yeah, it
yeah.
wasn't like the standard normal, when I should have gotten it, but I had some, yeah, I don't remember exactly why, but I needed to, I think it was because I was on steroids for a period of time and they didn't want me to get them until after I was off of the prednisone
For a while.
or something. There was a reason why, and I don't remember, but yeah, it took me a while to get them.
Sally, welcome.
Thank
How
you.
was
I
your
am apologizing to everybody. I was in a mozzarella cheese making class and I had to race home.
Oh, thank you for even coming. I thought perhaps you'd have all this mozzarella to show us that you made
Oh, I
tonight.
have it. It's in the bag on the kitchen counter. I didn't even put it in the refrigerator.
That sounds
I
like an
had it sitting
interesting
here.
class.
But you're talking about the immunizations after stem cell transplant? Kim
Hmm.
was for multiple myeloma, they usually wait a year.
Yeah, see, in Nashville they only wait 6 months because I have multiple myeloma.
Oh,
So
okay. I didn't know
and
that.
yeah, and I just had stem cell in August. And so tomorrow's day 80. Thanksgiving Day is day 100. So I'll see my oncologist the day before. Yeah. So I, yeah, they just said 6 months. They said February is when you'll start getting your your childhood immunizations. And the only thing they wait a year for is shingles in Nashville.
And see, they won't give me the shingle shot because my immunoglobulins are so low. They're not convinced or they're not sure that I will build any antibodies for shingles. So it's safer, so I won't get shingles, to stay on this cyclovar for
Mm.
as long as I can. And I'd rather be sure because there's no way I want shingles.
Yeah,
Right.
no, I don't blame you. It runs in my husband's family, and he's gonna get one, so get his shingles vaccine. But he may wait until I do, or he may not. I don't know what he'll do, but he'll get it.
Well, congratulations on having getting to your 100 days.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited, kind of nervous. We'll see what they tell me tomorrow, and hopefully that will. And then that way, I think they'll tell me tomorrow what's going on, and then when I see my oncologist on day 99, I think he will talk to me more about maintenance and stuff like that.
When are you having your bone marrow biopsy?
Tomorrow.
Good luck.
It's number
That'll
5.
tell you. That'll tell you most everything you want to know. And
Well, you
I
didn't
will put
hear
it out there
earlier.
that you're going to be in full remission and MRD
Well,
negative.
I've had 4 bone marrow biopsies and they've all been negative. Every single one of them.
What do you mean
So
negative?
no, nothing in my bone marrow, no multiple myeloma cells at all.
Which is weird, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how you confirm it.
Well, no, my doctor comes from MD Anderson and to Ingram Cancer Center here in Nashville, and They found it in a monoclonal spike in my blood, just a very small one. 0.5 gets you a multiple myeloma diagnosis, and I was
Right.
0.6.
I've never heard of any doctor not confirming it with a bone marrow biopsy, because
Yeah,
that's where you get your percentage. I mean, I was 88% myeloma in my bone marrow biopsy
yeah,
before I even
mine's been
started.
0.
That is very strange.
Well, the other piece that I had that you didn't hear either is I had a plasmacytoma on my spine.
Yeah, mine was on my leg.
Yeah. So that's where that's how you get, that's how I got to stage 2, because of having those two things.
Yeah.
So
I'll see you guys. I'm going to send Rick.
So
You'll see him soon.
this is fun, you two jumping in and out, meeting hopping.
Bye-bye.
See you soon. So Kim, I know our screen my screen just changed and everyone changed places, like in Hollywood Squares or something. So Kim, did they test your bone marrow before you had your original treatment? Before you had your DRV, they test your bone marrow?
yeah, I had 3
Oh,
prior
before.
to starting VRD, and then I had 1 after I was finished with VRD, and then tomorrow will be the 5th one. So
And none of them showed any, that is
That is
interesting.
very strange. But lucky you.
question, I'm like, if it's supposed to be in my bone marrow and it's not, how do I have a multiple myeloma diagnosis? And then
That's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask my specialist tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what he said, because of the plasmacytoma and the damage that it did. He said those cells came from somewhere. And I'm like, okay, this is all Greek to me. So I'm like, okay.
Well, I hope you're getting all these bone marrow biopsies under sedation, because that's the only way I'll do them anymore.
Yeah, twilight, they call it twilight medicine.
Twilight, yeah.
Yeah.
We were just talking about all that, Sally, before you joined us, about everyone's experiences, the good, the bad, and the really ugly about all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
I
first
never,
one with my specialist, and she couldn't get through my bone. She said my bone was too hard. And my patient advocates finally, after the 3rd try, said, "Stop it. This is inhumane." And then I went back to Santa Barbara and they did it under sedation.
Yeah, I
I
will.
never had it under sedation.
Me neither. You either, Ashley, they just do it.
They just did it. I mean, I took Ativan like in the beginning sometimes, but eventually I was like, just get it over with.
Yeah, Michelle said she just takes a piece of leather, puts it in her mouth, and bites on it. Or was it a stick?
It's a whip. It's the handle of her whip.
Sally, you weren't supposed to tell about that. But I am considering it after hearing everyone. So, doctors always have that same definition of it. It must be in their textbooks. It's just a little pinch.
Right.
And when I interviewed them, on different programs for Patient Power, the patient story, they always say that. So I don't know what got into me one day, and I was interviewing Dr. Nitin Jane from MD Anderson, and he said that. And I just said, "Doctor, have you ever had a bone marrow biopsy?" I can't believe I said that. Well, I can. Now that you all know me. Yes, you can believe it, but it was just like, but it probably wasn't the appropriate time to say that. And he was like, "Well, no, I haven't." And so I was co-hosting with someone else, and we were both like, "You don't want one. And it's more than a pinch."
I mean, I'm pretty strong and I'm pretty stubborn, but I was in tears. It was awful.
Well, I'm going to get my next one standing up so I can compete with Joe.
I didn't know. Was Joe having his standing up?
No, laying down. Laying down.
Yeah.
Lynn just wants to one up him though,
Oh, I
because Joe
see.
doesn't have sedation and didn't think it was bad.
I
Lynn
didn't know,
does.
I didn't know it was supposed to hurt that bad.
It's not supposed to. Wow, Rick is looking like a movie star in black and white. It looks like you're in black and white with your lighting.
Yeah.
His black sweatshirt.
So Kim, as you see, there are these jumpings of the squares, and Rick and Herb jump in between. There are various meetings going on right now with the organization and CAN. So they're jumping in and out. I haven't had that pleasure yet. It seems almost to me kind of like, I don't know, like they're traveling through space or something, landing into a new room and going to the other. But is, Joe, I think you had said that you needed time today. Did you want to talk about anything or any upcoming appointments or a recent one?
Well, we're going to MD Anderson on Monday and having some more blood work, and I think we might have a bone marrow
You
biopsy.
do.
So I don't know if I'm going to ask for a twilight shot or not.
After all that you just heard, oh my gosh, I hope that we
After
don't.
everybody telling him how much it hurts, and he's had like 5 of them already with nothing, with no sedation or anything. Now he might go for it.
Well, I hope that we don't, that we now haven't gotten into your mind of thinking that it hurts, because for you it hasn't. I was just thinking you and Ashley tough it out, that, you know, maybe I won't, well, I'll probably ask next time, but I just have never had it myself. So you might be one of those people who can do it. Because there are others who say it
Must be a
doesn't.
win.
It depends on who does it.
Yeah, I think so.
So you're seeing your oncologist then on Monday as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Who do you see there?
Dr. Chin.
He's well known.
She.
Oh, she. I'm sorry. I thought it was like Dr. Chin. Dr. Chin. I don't know Dr. Chin.
So I was interested in just throwing out some side effects to see if anybody else had the same type of side effects I had. I get diarrhea, then I get constipated, and I've developed a really pain in the back, the lower middle back, and I lost strength in my legs and arms. I continue going to PT to try to build them up, exercise at home, but I haven't achieved a level which I'm stable. So if anybody else experienced any of these symptoms, or just
Joe,
my old age?
can you remind us of what you're taking?
Bladder class?
Venetoclax?
Venetoclax and Vidasa.
Idasa. I've never heard of that.
Vidasa, it's Azacitidine. Azacitidine. It's an infusion that he gets
And it's for the disease, or it's for?
for the disease. He has some myelodysplastic syndrome. He was on Revlimid early at the beginning, and it didn't work for him. So now he's on a clinical trial with MD Anderson.
So I can only answer about the Venetoclax, what I know from people, what I've heard, and Lynn probably has heard it as well, that I have heard of diarrhea as a side effect of that. And joint pain, like almost unexplainable joint pain.
Yeah, I get some of that too.
Yeah.
You heard of any others with a Venetoclax?
No.
Fatigue. is a big one, and some people get constipation as well.
Yeah, well, after diarrhea, constipation kicks
The
in.
venetoclax, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're still on Revlimid, that's all diarrhea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with azacitidine. Is that in the same class as Revlimid? Is it the same type of, the
No.
same class of drug, do you
No.
know?
I don't think so at all. Uh, I don't know what, when you say what type of drug, I don't know types.
Well, it's
Okay.
not an IMID because there are only 3 IMIDs, and it's Revlimid, Polymus, and thalidomide. Those are the only 3 IMIDs. So it's not the same as Revlimid.
Yes,
So it just says it's chemotherapy.
How do you spell it?
Well, Vidaza is Vidaza, and it's the same thing as azacitidine, which is Azacitidine.
we so need Tom Henry. I'll have to look that one up.
So you have AML?
No,
No?
No, he has MDS, myelodysplastic syndrome.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
it's not quite leukemia, according to what the doctor said.
It's in the class of it, and it can turn into AML.
Well, it's just interesting that the venetoclax and acididine are all normally used together, which is
Yeah, it's approved for, I think, uh, myeloid, I don't know. It's approved
no
for,
myeloid, yeah,
but
lymphoma.
it's not approved for MDS. That's why it's in a clinical trial.
And venetoclax is used for CLL and SLL,
Right.
And multiple myeloma,
right? Yeah.
but only translocation 1114. So it's only a certain genetic predisposition for in myeloma that it can be used for.
Joe's lost a lot of muscle mass in his upper body, shoulders and everything, and his arms. And he's lost a lot of weight since he's had it. We can't get him fattened up for anything. So
Is that from the MDS or from the treatment, do you know?
we don't know.
That might be something to ask tomorrow. And which of the 2 drugs, if it is from treatment, like which of the 2 drugs maybe? Oh, Sally,
I just put it out there.
if you look in the chat, I don't know if you're looking, Joe, or anyone else in the chat, Sally just shared what azacitidine does. And Kim, obviously you don't need this since you don't have any bad things for bone marrow.
Going to leave because I've got to get some things done. So, because I have to be at the hospital early in the morning. So I will thank you all. I appreciate it. And I love learning all this stuff. My doctor called me an anomaly, and I think that's why I don't have it in my cells, my bone marrow. So maybe
Did
I
you
am
have
anomaly. Who
questions?
knows?
Do you have any questions before you leave us, or to prepare for tomorrow to ask, since we have Sally with us?
I don't think so. I'm hoping they just tell me that I'm good to go and I can start getting my vaccines. And I mean, I always make a list of questions when I go, and my husband and I were going to go over that. That's one of the reasons I was like, I need to get off the phone so we can go over a list of questions. But they're just sort of generic questions. They're not, I feel, say this all the time. I feel bad because I don't feel like I'm sick. But I am sick, and I have to keep reminding myself, yes, you have this disease that you're going to have to live with for the rest of your life. It could come back, and I have to keep that in mind. But it just, otherwise I feel fine. I feel
Have
like
you had transfusions?
I have not. I had to get some
IVIG.
I had to get some red blood cells when I was going through stem cell towards, they got too low. They didn't like it. So they just gave me one thing and that was it.
That's great.
Kim, you might want to share your email if you haven't with Michelle, so she can keep you posted on future when we get together again, which is a monthly gathering.
Yeah, she has my cell phone. She sends it to my,
Okay,
yeah.
okay,
So,
very good.
Can I help you come back? And also, now that you've been here and you see that about, that you've gotten to meet Sally. Sally, thank you so much for jumping from your class of making mozzarella. Sounds like so much fun.
It was.
So that you can meet Kim and help here. So Kim, best wishes tomorrow. Please, I look forward to finding out what's going on.
thank you. I will probably be posting on Sunday about it.
Okay.
All right. See y'all.
Good
Kim,
luck.
Glad to see all of you.
Just one tip. Make sure if you've got a list of questions, take in 2 copies and make sure you give one of those copies to your doctor. Don't just ask them questions off of your sheet.
Huh.
You should give them a copy. This is for everybody. If you give them a copy, you're sure to get all your questions answered.
Okay.
Because once you give them that copy, it has to go in your record. And so they will answer everything because
Understood.
they're held responsible. This is good for Faye and Joe as well.
Thank
So
Thank
you.
you.
always making your list of questions with your hubby tonight is great, but just make 2 copies and give one to your docs tomorrow.
Okay. Great. Great idea. I hadn't thought of that.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Thanks. See
I didn't
y'all.
know they had to put it in your record. That's even better.
Yeah, I didn't know that
Bye.
either.
Yes, I
Bye.
didn't either. Take
Bye.
care. Rick, that was great. I didn't realize that I've sent them, by email before or to my nurse practitioner, but in writing, I think that's even better. That's great.
It's not a great idea to send by email. If you're going to send them that way, do it through the log, do it through the
Yep.
portal.
That's what I
Because
meant.
what goes through the portal goes in your chart. What goes through email doesn't go in your chart. So you always want, if you've got a list of questions, either write them out and hand them a copy because they're required to put that in your chart, or put it in the portal because then it's in your chart and say, these are the questions I'm going to be asking you tomorrow.
Perfect. Thank you.
It works. Believe me, it works. People complain about the doctors who take 2 minutes and run out, but if you give them that sheet, they got to go through everything.
Huh.
Now, you've got to be a little responsible. Don't give them a sheet with 20 questions on there. We say try and keep it 6 to 10 questions somewhere in that region. But that's a really good tip and it works. I don't know, Ashley, are you aware of this? Have you tried this before?
No, I've never given a copy to the doctors. No.
Try it and you'll come back and say, wow, that was great. They went through everything bit by bit. Yeah.
You're right, Rick, about the not having too many questions as well, to respect their time as well.
Yeah.
But Joe, for your appointment tomorrow, all those things, it would be great to ask them because maybe they'll have some, probably, and maybe they'll, I don't know what they would do. You're on a trial. How much longer do you take the azacitidine, or is it taken as long as the venetoclax?
The azacitidine he takes for 5 days each treatment period, and the venetoclax he takes for 14 days each treatment period.
Oh, so not, and
It's
are
not
they,
it's not continuous. They do overlap the 5 days with both meds.
But not continuous. Okay, so that is different than for how it's taken for other things. And do you feel better when you're not on them, when you have your days without any drugs? Is that when do you feel better then?
I think so.
I think we all do.
He does. He just has some back pain also, so that always interrupts everything, interferes.
How long is the trial for?
Till it stops working.
Oh, so this is indefinite treatment then.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I hope they're able to tell you things to help with the loss of strength and all,
Right. Well,
pain.
so far he's been in remission since he started the trial, but he's lost a lot of weight and a lot of strength, and he's in some pain now. So
one thing I would definitely suggest, and they do have a pretty good group at MD Anderson, is bring the palliative care docs into play. You need to add a palliative care doc to your team. Let me just be clear about one thing. Palliative care is not the same as end of life.
right.
Palliative care docs are doctors who are trained to handle symptoms and side effects. They also handle hospice, but that's another aspect of palliative care. And you can usually self-refer to a palliative care team. I don't have any name. Oh, look, I don't think I've got any names of MD Anderson palliative care docs, although I could
Which
get
office?
one for
Or
you.
which one? Which MD Anderson?
Houston.
Houston.
I may have a list, so I was gonna look.
Okay, that'd be great. But especially these issues around nutrition and fatigue and muscle issues, given that Joe's disease is in remission, I think the palliative care team is going to be really, really helpful. And I will also say to you that there are some doctors, not all doctors, but there are some doctors, oncologists, who are very resistant to palliative care. They feel that the palliative care docs interfere with what they're doing. And so you get pushback. We've seen this, for example, at City of Hope, which is a very good NCCN hospital. In other hospitals like Memorial Sloan Kettering or UCSF, they work really well together. I don't know about MD Anderson, but if you get pushback from your docs, then let me know, and we'll figure a way to come around.
So because we're not in Houston, except for when we go, how will we work with these doctors? Just through the portal and stuff?
Yeah, I mean
I just sent you a list of 20 names.
Okay.
Sally, you are just so on it. It's in the chat.
Okay.
Can you open the chat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me see. Let me see if I recognize any of the names.
Do you want me to
I'm
read them
just
off?
pulling up. No, I'm just pulling it up on my on my computer, and I'll see if I recognize any of these names. But you again, you've got to be your own best advocate here, and and see if you can get, I mean, they have a decent reputation, the palliative care people, from what I can gather at MD Anderson. So I'm sure, I don't think I do.
So what kinds of things would they be able to do to help? So they have an idea.
Uh-uh.
What kinds of things? Well, just, first of all, I mean, pain isn't really an issue. Fatigue is more the issue. But with pain meds, they're much better up on pain meds than a lot of the oncologists because they're required to stay on top of all the pain meds. They can be prescribing meds for side effects that the oncologist may not be aware of. They're going to work closely with nutrition folks to get better nutrition. I mean, when you say what kind of things can they do, that they can do all the things you'd expect of your oncologist, but your oncologist is really involved in in treating blood cancers. And once we start talking about these side effects, it gets outside of the blood cancers, and that's where I think it's beneficial.
I mentioned palliative care several visits ago, not with my doctor, not with Joe's doctor, but she was not there, but he was the head of the department for the
Trial.
MDS, for the clinical trial, and
Yeah,
he told me to reach out to my local palliative care, and he was like, "Well, what do you want it for?"
yeah, yeah. And so this is a perfect example. So you get docs who don't want them involved. And you
Yeah,
say, I want it because this is an issue, that is an issue, and the other's an issue, and we're not getting the support. And we
right.
need the support. And we're patients here at MD Anderson. So
Mm-hmm.
you tell them, but I mean it's a silly thing. They know why you need it, but they don't like it. Now you'll get other docs that welcome palliative care and encourage you.
Yeah.
One thing you might want to do first thing in the morning is call over to the palliative care team at MD Anderson, say you're coming in for you're in a clinical trial, you're coming in and you really would like to try and get to see somebody. You may not have a choice who you see, but you can sit down with them when you're there tomorrow in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
call them first thing and say, hey, we don't live in Houston. We're coming in the morning. We're leaving in the evening. We've got issues. We need help with palliative care, and see what you can do. I mean, I can call. I've got two people at MD Anderson. I can ask for recommendation, but we don't have time to do that at this point. If you're going to be there tomorrow, so
It's
Mon-
it's Monday, but it's just might as well be tomorrow. It's Monday. We'll be there.
How long are you
well,
scheduled to be in
We're
Houston?
we're gonna be there till Thursday. He's gonna have an MRI of his back and spine and everything to see if there's something going on why he's in this pain. So,
all right. As we speak, let me send a note. Let me send a note to one of our advisory board members who spent 14 years at MD Anderson. She just moved to Houston Methodist last year, and let me ask her who she likes, and she's usually really good. Actually, I can text her. I'll text her right now, and I'll ask her who she likes in palliative care, and see if I can get a name for you.
Good,
okay,
thank you so much.
be great.
Lynn, have you ever involved palliative care in any of your treatment at MDA?
No, no, I have not.
Okay.
So can I ask what phase of your trial that you're on?
Uh, I think it's phase 2. I,
So something else maybe you might want to ask too, if some of the side effects are so bad and they may know which are the two drugs on the one that you're talking about, the muscles or the pain part, potentially, and I'm not sure if they would, but I know that dosage is sometimes brought down.
right, right. They did say that if his numbers have been getting a little lower each time now, so they said that they could adjust the venetoclax so that it would have time. He would have time to build up his blood and everything. So
That's
yeah. So he had to have a transfusion a couple of weeks ago, and he hasn't had a transfusion since January. So so I don't know what that means with. I tried to get that out of the doctor through the portal. What does that mean? But they didn't comment.
And the other thing is because he is on a trial, I know sometimes there's pushback about palliative care if you're on a trial.
Right.
They don't want things to potentially affect the result of the trial.
Yeah.
So just be really adamant on that. And
Yeah.
I've learned the magic term is quality of life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's a really good point on Michelle's part. I mean, don't let them fob you off. Well, you're on a trial. Blah, 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 blah. They're
Right.
not that, they're just, I think the issue is because they feel like the palliative care docs sort of try to take control of their patients.
Right.
And so it becomes territorial. I mean, I've got a really good buddy here who is he's actually an internist, but he does a lot of cancer work. He has a really poor view of palliative care because he doesn't like them coming in and saying what should be done with his patient.
Interfering.
But then you'll get other docs who love the fact that the palliative care come in, and so it's a very sensitive issue.
Well, we'll try it out.
Try it out. Hold on, I'm just something else came in, so I'm gonna write to Eleni right now.
Taking antibiotics.
Sally, have you ever spoken on behalf of any patients to a palliative care doctor? No, me neither. I was seeing it's a
Nope.
really great topic, for people to learn more because it used to be thought of really as like end of life.
Right.
Yeah. People have a big confusion every time I've had to have a discussion about it, and they think it's hospice, but it's not. It's dealing with side effects is a good,
Right.
quick decision.
And that's a good way that would be a good way to broach the subject. But I remember when my doctor mentioned that to me, I was just like, I was down about it because they hadn't explained it to me. They're like palliative care. I'm like, palliative care, my numbers are great. I'm just really fatigued, I didn't, because I
What are
didn't
you
understand.
not? What are you not telling me?
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But now I know, I've since become a more educated patient about things and about that. So I would look forward to learning from you what you find out, and maybe you can help us all learn as well
Mhm.
from what you learn.
Well, thank you.
We'll share.
Yeah, we had an incident here with our local oncologist the other day. Joe's been on these antibiotics for that they've kept him on at MD
Since
Anderson,
January.
and I needed a refill, and the local guy said I don't keep my patients on these, and so I wrote to MD Anderson, and they said, well, we keep all of our patients if he has a absolute neutrophil number at a certain level, they keep him on the antibiotic, and his is under that level. So they said, my local oncologist said, well, I need something in writing. And I'm like, oh my God, well, why don't you contact them? You know, it was
Exactly.
crazy.
It-
Anyway,
That doesn't
Yeah,
sound
I think
normal.
there is a handoff issue between when you have two doctors like that
uh,
they don't want to bear the responsibility of what the other doctor's decision was.
exactly. Well,
Uh,
they
and I'm
used to communicate pretty well. Our local hospital was one of the MD Anderson kind of
Really.
satellites, and now they're not anymore. They dropped out of it. I think they charge quite a bit of money for them to have that MD Anderson sign up. So,
I had no problem with my local oncologist and the City of Hope. We're what, 2.5 hours apart.
right,
And basically, my lab reports went to her, and if she wanted to change anything, she just called my doctor, and I just got something new. And if we had questions, they just emailed back and forth, and it worked really well.
that's good.
It was almost seamless. I mean, if I didn't know I had two doctors, I wouldn't have known it.
That's wonderful.
That's good. Well,
And now I've changed, and my local doctor is my specialist, so
oh,
it's a lot easier.
Well, Joe, will
I've
you
got
be staying
something
at the
really.
Rotary House?
Yes, we are.
Okay, that's really convenient.
Very convenient. Good food and good night's sleep.
They
Well, I've
used to
had
draw
something. Go
they used
ahead.
to draw blood at the hospital at the hotel
yeah,
too, because it.
yeah, they did, but they stopped doing that.
Okay.
Um, Faye, did you open the list of palliative care docs?
No, I have it. I took a picture of it, but I didn't open it yet.
Okay. Well, if you just
Just
click
click
on
on
in
it,
the chat window, it'll open up in your browser and it'll be there for later.
and it's easier to print that list than trying to copy
Right.
and trying to enter that entire web list.
Oh yeah, I
So
got.
so if you just click it, it'll open and you can look at it later and you can look more about palliative care and supportive. I think they call it supportive care. Um, People have, there's a lot of acronyms, symptom management, um, symptom control, palliative care, but you'll find it later.
Okay. Wow, it's a long list.
I said it was a lot of them.
Well, it must be a need for it if there's that many. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And I also like the fact they've got a separate group of physical medicine and rehab, because that's really, if you've got muscle issues and fatigue, that's also very helpful too. That they've got rehab docs in there. So and if I hear back, or I know I will hear back from Dr. E, and I'll send you whatever she says.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And if I don't, if she may be out the country or something. If I don't, the other thing we can do is we can reach out to the chief of the genitourinary service at MD Anderson, who knows us well, and we can get a name from him.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, I imagine part of the issue is going to be on short notice getting scheduled in there, but you you know, you already have some things scheduled out this coming week, I'm sure, because you're saying you're going to be there through Thursday. So,
Yeah, we have some time though, some free time there, so
yeah.
hopefully we'll be able to get it scheduled in.
Yeah, the
Well,
other
it's good to
thing to
see.
do, and it works, is just just go over to the supportive care department and tell them you're a patient and you're here and you'd really like to see somebody in the next few days, or, and they're usually very, very good about it because palliative care is usually self-referred.
Okay.
Good
And
idea.
you'll find, like, one thing I guarantee, they'll be very empathetic and they'll be very compassionate. That's a hallmark of palliative care. So if you find out where the group is located on the campus and you just walk in and say, with Joe, really, can we see somebody? We're here for 4 days or 5 days for tests. They'll get you in. So, you can call them tomorrow. I'll try and get you a name, or you can walk in on Monday. I'm almost certain you'll get something.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
It's good to see that Michelle has returned to the land of those that are conscious. She was semi semi-conscious and having a coughing fit. Ashley was getting ready to run over there.
If only you could. Or is Ashley offered? She's CPR certified.
Yeah, she said she could be there within 3 days.
You'll probably be tying the local fire department on that one, on the arrival time.
Uh,
Yeah, I've been getting these dry coughing fits lately. And if it's a change in season, probably just need to maybe get a humidifier going.
Well, the only thing I had to report on was I had 2 of the cancer screenings that we, as cancer patients, were more prone to give the other types of cancer. And I've been to see my dermatologist, and he looked me over, and I told him that I'm a blood cancer patient. He looked me over again and said, "Well, let's do a biopsy here. We'll screen this for superficial melanoma." Well, there's nothing to me about melanoma that's superficial. So anyway, he cut off a spot off of my wrist, bottom of my arm, about the size of a button, and so I discovered pretty quickly I was going to have to stop taking my blood thinner because it bled and bled and bled, and was slow healing. So I stopped my blood thinner that I'm on, and also stopped my cancer medicine. But 6 days later, I got the note back that said it was benign. It was not melanoma. It's an age spot. So thank you, Lord, for age spots.
yeah.
So
Thank
that
goodness.
that that was good news. And then the other thing, it'd been 10 years since I'd had a colonoscopy, and so I scheduled for colonoscopy. And once again, I stopped my blood thinner and my ibrutinib. I stopped it for 5 days, and everything was fine there. So the doctor said, well, you come back in 5 to 7 years. And I said, I thought to myself, well, we'll see about that. I'll be in my 80s by then.
Lynn, how long did they have you stop your ibrutinib for your colonoscopy?
They did not. I did not get a doctor's guidance on that. I know that they stop it for surgery about, I think it says 5 days in the literature. Um, but at MD Anderson, the doctor, the benign hematologist that I see because I'm on blood thinner, told me to stop the blood thinner for 5 days. So on my own, I decided to stop both of them. But I've been on ibrutinib for 8 years. And so I was off of it actually 6 days before the procedure, and then I restarted it again the day after the surgery. But I did not feel any different to notice any other side effects during the time I was off of it.
That's good. Yeah, I believe they had told me, I think I'm supposed to be off of it 5 days ahead of time.
And I was prepared to be off of it 5 days after too, if the doctor had done any snipping of anything in the colon, but he didn't.
You did well. That's wonderful. Good news there on both
I
counts.
I can send pictures, but I'd rather not.
Did they
Well, I'm
give you?
having mine done in a week too. So
I still
we
have
can
to.
compare, Lynn.
Yeah. I must say that the prep, it's not much different than it is if you've ever had this before. But
I've
I
had it
didn't, th-
before.
I didn't think the prep was so bad this time. So I was trying to cut back on and go on a lighter diet for the 2 days before, and of course all liquid the day of. So
So what's very interesting is everyone's video went away for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
And now Ashley's having audio problems. Rick, I could only see you on video for the last probably 4 minutes and everyone else's was gone. And now suddenly people are back except for Lynn. Unless Lynn just doesn't, he's worried about us seeing his pictures of his colonoscopy or something. I
Well, I'm fixing to share those with you.
don't know.
like I said, Lynn, we can compare.
I
I
do.
have to have a PET
Well,
scan and a
listen,
full,
you
full
guys are
PET
doing
scan next week as well,
A PET
because
scan.
the lytic lesion on my fibula has
Oh.
completely healed.
Oh,
But well, that's the good news. The bad news is it looks like it's overhealing and becoming a large bump like this on my fibula rather than flattening out. So we're going to try to figure out what's going on. But all my numbers, all my blood work was good. So I'm not too concerned. It just my leg hurts all the time.
is that from
I've lost the volume. I can't hear you.
Ashley can't either. Rick, can you hear me?
I hear
Just
you.
fine.
Okay, now you
I
came
hear you.
back.
And Ashley said she was having issues with volume, with hearing. Sally, are you still taking a bone strengthener?
Mm-mm. Haven't been on one for 2 years. I was on
And
Zometa for 2 years, every 8 weeks. But, I'm glad to see the lytic lesions, it filled in, but
tell me the name of what
like you
that
said,
was
it was
again.
odd.
Zometa, zoledronic acid,
Because
ZOMETA.
Bisulfonate.
I know you all spoke of that before, but I had to wait a year to get my next bone density scan, and both my oncologist and the orthopedic doctor now it's like everything's hinging on this report, and then we have to discuss which of the drugs to go on. So, but I've heard such negative things about all of them.
Yeah, you can't be on them very long, and they have a half-life of 10 years. Body for a minimum of 10 years.
I mean, we've had guys who have been on them for years and years. I mean, zoledronic acid, which is called Zometa, denosumab. I mean, we don't think they should stay on for so long. They have a very, very long half-life, as Sally is aware. I actually got reduced doses of zoledronic acid over 3 years. But the problem is that over time they tend to make your bones more brittle. They fill in the holes, but you lose some flexibility in your bones. So it's more likely to shatter. I actually was asking my hip doctor as to whether it's an issue with a joint replacement if you've been on a bone strength, and they don't seem to think so. But
There's also the problem with the jaw.
right,
If you have
right,
dental
right.
work,
ONJ,
OMG.
osteonecrosis of the jaw. But we've hardly seen that, and I have to say that there's a lot. Most of the guys with metastatic disease are on some type of bone strengthener. We've seen it a couple of times. I mean, I've probably seen it 3 or 4 times in all the years I've been doing this advocacy, where there's been issues from immune strengthener. Doesn't happen very often, but it can. But I mean, I wouldn't be that concerned about it from the standpoint of side effects. If it were me, I wouldn't be, and I wasn't, because I took it. So I can say that. I can say that as a peer.
That's that's good to hear. And Sally, it seems to have worked for you.
I got to tell you, it was amazing for me. I mean, I changed my when they stuck me on hormone therapy, they did a bone density test, and I found out that I was osteoporotic in the spine. And I mean, you could have knocked me over with a feather. I was so surprised. And over the next 2 years, I got 3 doses of Zometa. Now, that's the same thing that Sally was getting every 8 weeks. So, while she was getting it every 8 weeks, I only got it 3 times in 2 years. That said, I changed my exercise regime and I improved the density in my spine from -2.4 to -1. So, whether it was the exercise, whether it was the Zometa, or a combination of both, but it seemed to work a treat for me. So, and my
Right.
bone density's gone south since then. I mean, yeah, south, that's right. It's gone south. So I'm now down back to about -1.4 again. But, you know.
Did you say you got it 3 times over 2 years?
Yeah, I got it once at the beginning of my treatment, once in the middle of my treatment, and once at the end of 2 years. Well, I shouldn't say that. Once at the beginning, once after 12 months, and once after 24 months. And I was on the hormone therapy. I was getting shots for 28 months.
Yeah, but you didn't have big holes in your bones like multiple myeloma people do.
No, I did not. I was osteoporotic.
Yeah,
That's
but
why
I
I got
have lesions on my ribs, my sternum, my collarbone, and my
right,
big bones. So, I mean, I did 3 years ago. I don't now, but
right,
That's
right.
great that you don't now.
no.
Are you
But they're
still,
going to check with a PET scan on Monday.
Well, you let us know, Miss Pally, please.
I will.
Okay, we don't want you. We don't want you coming back looking like a lifesaver.
Sally, when
I
will
was
you
actually get, I was actually going to say a polo mint, but none of you would know what a polo mint is.
I-
So
I do.
Sally might know.
I know.
You know what a polo mint is, Michelle?
Yes, I had a boss for many years from the UK, and we used to sponsor local polo matches. And of course, we had to have Pim's cocktails and
Oh, you froze on me.
polo mints.
We
Now
can't
I
hear you,
hear.
Rick.
Say that again, because you froze on me.
We had to have is it Pim's cocktails or mint
Cups.
yes, and
Pim's
polo?
cups.
Yes, and polo mint. So I wouldn't have remembered that unless you had just mentioned that, though.
Okay.
I had a
Sally,
question
good.
for
All right,
Sally.
I'm going to leave you guys.
Hi.
I'm going
Yes,
to
Thank,
Bye
run
bye.
back over to the other meeting for the close of it. I'll
take
see you
care.
guys later, and I'll be in touch with the Rosenbaums if I've got any information for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hi, Rick.
Bye.
yes, Lynn.
Sally, I know in your move you've certainly had to change your doctors. Has that worked out okay?
Oh, it's fantastic. Like I said, I'm now my local oncologist is my specialist. He's been working in myeloma research and clinical trials since 1985. So he's one of the good ones.
How did you locate him?
Looked him up on the web.
Okay.
Wow.
Where do you live, Sally?
I live in outside Indianapolis now. And the
I
funny,
thought,
coincidentally, Dr. Abenor, who is my specialist, one of my good friends from college is a pathologist, and I kept asking him, questions on my lab reports in the very beginning before I knew anything. And it turns out that he worked on myeloma research with Dr. Abenor, after he graduated from medical school. So it was sort of neat that I had two inroads there. So that was cool.
That's cool.
And I
That is,
really like him, he's really nice. He's much more bedside manner positive than Dr. Krishnan was. You'd walk into Dr. Krishnan's office and you'd have your list of questions and you ask your questions and she'd basically say, yes, no, maybe we'll look into it and walk out the door.
Oh, wow.
But he'll sit and talk to me, which is nice.
how are you getting on with the rest of your life with your move?
I'm so busy,
Is that
which
a
is
good
good
thing?
because, I've met a whole bunch of new women, two women's groups that I've just joined, and she's making classes, and I've never seen my family. I moved here to be near my family. My family is too busy. I'm too busy. It's amazing. I invited
Well,
my sister and her
good.
family
If
to
you
dinner.
need each other, you're there.
Yeah. I invited my sister and her husband and son and everything for dinner for tomorrow night. No, for tonight. No, I'm sorry, it wasn't tonight. Anyway, it was one night and I couldn't do it the night that, she wanted one night that I could. Oh, it was tonight. I had invited everybody for like Tuesday night. She said, no, how about Thursday? And I said, no, because I have this class and a Zoom meeting. And I said, I can do it any other night. Well, they said, Thursday's the only night we can do it. So let's try next week. And then it goes from there. And I asked if I could drop in my brother, and he says, no, I'm playing golf at 1, and then we're going out for dinner.
And you
And
moved
oh,
there.
and I asked about Thanksgiving. I said, what are we all doing for Thanksgiving? And Jerry says, well, Jen, his daughter and son-in-law are coming in from San Francisco. They're actually going to move here in December. And I said, oh, and so they're going to their neighbors for Thanksgiving. I asked my sister today. She goes, well, it's only the three of us now because Lillian's going to her mother-in-law's. And I said, well, let's get together. Well, I don't really like all that much turkey in the house. And I said, I'll do it. So, I mean, it's one of these, how do we get everybody together?
And yet that's one of the reasons you moved.
It'll work out. I'm
It
just
sounds like
glad
it'll be,
they're all within a mile of me, and I probably saw them more when I was in California than I have this year. Because both of them all just came back from Italy too. They were in Italy for 2 weeks, so it's
that's
been a bit.
well, maybe when
it'll be
winter.
good to, it'll be good to see everybody, and it'll be good to say goodbye to everybody.
Yes,
Have
but I
you
love the weather. I love being here. I was in Santa Barbara, a week ago, and it was all of a sudden so real to me how gray and brown and dry it looked, and it wasn't bright, and because our fall has been gorgeous.
Right.
And I'm really enjoying the rain. We have rain occasionally. I planted 200 spring bulbs this afternoon. I didn't. I had the gardener do it, but I supervised where I wanted them. And it's going to be beautiful in the spring.
That is the great thing about when you plant. I'm glad you mentioned that because I have to do that this weekend, but it's always a challenge because we have a lot of squirrels who are very aggressive. And this
Well,
And I,
past, there are hardly
I
any.
didn't tell squirrels where I planted them, and I shooed them all away, and I'm not going to tell them where they are.
Yeah, I tried that one. Let me know how that works out for you.
But see, in California, I couldn't grow tulips and daffodils and crocus and things like that. So I'm
Oh,
really excited.
Okay.
I never thought about that, how that wouldn't work in
Yeah,
California.
yeah,
That
no, it
will be
doesn't work.
Well, I know it's
And
about time for the evening news on the East Coast, and Joe's up and moving around. Sure
yeah,
hope you folks have a good trip and a good reports down in Houston.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it, everyone. Thank you.
best wishes on that. Ashley, did you have anything that you wanted to share with us?
Sure. I saw my oncologist last week, and my liver numbers went up. So she put me back on a low dose immunosuppressant for the time being, and hopefully that will make them go, get better. And um, I have a job interview next week,
Ooh,
so that's exciting. I haven't worked since before my diagnosis.
what kind of work did you do, and will you be doing?
I used to be a dental assistant. I took a course for medical billing, so that's what the job is for. So we'll see what happens.
Wow, best wishes for that. It sounds like you are
And that's
excited.
back in New York.
It's in New York, yeah. I am excited. I haven't worked for a really long time, and I feel like I have been lacking a sense of purpose. So I think that will help with that.
Would it be a long commute?
No, it wouldn't. It's on Staten Island. It's at a speech pathology office. So it wouldn't be far at all.
And you were sharing about the immunosuppressant, about having to go back on.
Oh yeah, my
Uh,
liver numbers went up. Um, they went up and then they were trending down, but they never got to normal and then they went back up again.
is that from your transplant that could be happening?
Um, they she thinks it's graft versus host in the liver. So like it's very mild, but I had just gotten off of the cyclosporin. So she thinks that that's what happened. So I'm on a low dose of tacrolimus now, and hopefully I won't be on it for too long.
Like, I hope not for your sake, because you did just get off. You were so excited you were off your cyclosporin.
I was. Yeah, I was really disappointed to go back on an immunosuppressant, but it is what it is.
You seem to have a very good attitude about it, and that you're moving forward with your job interviewing.
Yeah.
Having a purpose, I find, is really important.
Yeah, it's tough. Um, Definitely have been dealing with some depression lately, and I think this will be a step in the right direction as to something to look forward to and stuff.
It should, I would hope it does. I am sure it will. And I'm sorry about that. I feel badly. I'm going to send you a text over the next week or so with another idea about that. Have you been doing any activity in the young adult cancer world?
Yeah, I go to journaling. There's like a journaling kind of a meeting once a week. And you get a prompt and you write for 5 minutes and then you reflect on what you write for 2 minutes and then you can share if you want. And I really like the woman that does it. She's a social worker. Yeah.
And I used to take something called Writing to Heal.
Oh, for Gilda's Club?
No, it's through, actually you do have this in New York. Grub Street.
I didn't hear you. What?
It's through something called Grub Street. It's a writing school. They have it in New York City and Boston and a few others anyway, and they have 190/92 when they left. I don't know what that was, but
That's Sally's voice message.
they have published authors come in and teach, or university professors teach some of the classes, and it's for adults and it's for writing, and it's a whole genre there. So they have a specific teacher who's teaches at a university, and that's her genre, which is really interesting, Writing to Heal.
That's nice. Gilda's Club Madison has a Right to Heal program on, I think it's once a month on Saturdays. And it's, cancer specific, whatever prompts they give. And I mean, it's not, the prompts aren't always about cancer, but Gilda's Club is, for cancer people. And I've been to that a few times, and it's nice.
Yeah, it's very cathartic. This other one was great pressure to write a book. That was the goal, is for to be published. So I know it's just, yeah, this is the first year I haven't been doing stuff in a while, but it's just there were too many things happening, and something had to give, and plus I didn't have any more advanced classes, and then I got out of the habit. So maybe I don't know. It's not like I have time right now, but you have to make the time. So that was a really good thing to do. Glad you're doing that.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I mean, I've been busy, but I'm having a hard time trying to find the balance between going to in-person events and going to online events. I would like to start going to in-person events, but I'm very nervous about COVID. My mom just got it. She got it from somebody because she was in jury duty. And somebody had gotten it in jury duty and she got it, and I don't know, you never know.
Oh my God. My sister was on jury duty today, and that was her biggest fear. And she lives in New York. And she said everyone was jammed in. She had
both of my parents were called, and they both got selected for different cases, but they both got jury duty. And then I got actually summoned to go to jury duty. I filled the form out and I sent it online, and they said they would call or email or whatever, and I haven't gotten anything yet. But I'm going to say that I can't do it because I'm not getting COVID.
Yeah, all you have to do is, I had to do that and had to have my primary care done. Well, no, my oncologist wrote why.
Yeah, I'm going to have my oncologist write me a note if they call me.
Yeah, and I would like to serve, except for that petrifies me.
Right, exactly. Like, I don't mind doing it. I just, not right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, when will we? I know that you're back on an immunosuppressant, but working in a doctor's office is probably not a bad thing if everyone has to mask.
Yeah, and if I get the job, I would have like my own office.
Oh,
and I
that's
can
good.
close the door and keep all the germs out. So we'll see. I don't know, hopefully.
Yeah, I'll send good vibes your way. When is the
Thank
interview?
you. I'm sorry, what?
When is your interview?
It's next Thursday.
Okay. Gonna write that down.
Ashley, you mentioned dealing with depression, and I think we are going into a difficult time of year with the celebrations that go on in this November, December timeframe, and and our days getting shorter, less sunlight. That all affects our emotional health, and
Yeah.
so I think we other things we can do, interacting with people helps, I think, and if we can able to do any physical activity, is beneficial. And I just put a suggestion of I like to read and I like humorous books, and Peggy Rowe I think has just put out a new book. Uh, Title of it's Vacuuming in the Nude, but
Oh, I've heard of that.
she doesn't really vacuum in the nude, but she's got lots of funny stories, and her husband's in her 90s. I got to follow them on Facebook. She blogs, and they live, I think, in New Jersey, and they in a retirement type setting, and so she's got stories every day, and she's laughing at her husband and what he does, and so forth. So I'd recommend her books, and her son Mike Rowe is a famous TV personality. I see you
Mm-hmm.
nodding, so you know who he is.
Yeah,
He
he
wrote,
did Dirty Jobs.
yeah, he wrote the foreword on all three of her books, and he just when he got to the third one, he said, "I can't believe Mother has asked me to write the foreword for this book too, and here I am working in a septic tank on Dirty Jobs." And anyway, so he had some four-letter words to say about what she wanted him to do, and she said, "Now, Michael, watch your language." And so here he is. He says, "Mother's first book. She was 80. I wrote the foreword. I said, this is probably going to be her last book. I've just got to do the best I can." And he said, then 2 years later, she had another book, and then 2 years later, he said, "There's nothing left to say." And so, but he's entertaining in his writing too. So anyway, uh,
It's amazing that she keeps on going and
yeah,
writing books.
yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of that book. Thank you for the suggestion. I'll pick it up.
And I'm going to put another book out here, Walking Through the Fire by Laurel Lee, Laurel. And that book came back in the 70s. And not only did she write the book as a journal at the hospital, but she did her own illustrations, sketches in the book. And she was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. She had two young children, and she was pregnant with a third. And her husband ran off with the babysitter.
Oh my
And
God.
so she was going through treatment, riding public transportation. She was out with her kids on the street where she was sick. She was changing buses, and her son was collecting bottles, wine bottles, saying, "Mama, we can take these and get money for them." And of course, she said, "No, you can't get money for wine bottles." But anyway, she said, there I was throwing up in the trash can on the side of the street, and the people on the bus probably thought I was a wino. And anyway, she writes it with in a humorous, and she survives uh, the the Hodgkin's lymphoma. She survives it and has the baby. And she taught writing. She passed away in her 50s. She developed pancreatic cancer and passed away. But she
Mm.
has a number of books, Laurel Lee, that date back to the 70s and so on. And but
I'll look hers up.
enough from me.
Those are great suggestions. Thank you. Maybe we'll end up with some authors out of ANCAN. Listen, I have to jump because that alarm was for my meds, which are upstairs. But this has been a great meeting, although I know we had like people in and out, which was kind of fun. Lynn, as always, you have wonderful advice. Joe, good luck next week. And Ashley, best wishes with your job interview Thursday. And
Thank you.
Lynn, do you have any appointments coming up? Or do you have some peace?
Not till February. I do have a CBC coming up, 3-month CBC that I get with my primary care physician that I will share with my MD Anderson doctors. But
Yeah, my next one is January. I was supposed to start obinutuzumab this week, but I put it off. More on that another time.
oh, okay.
So, but anyway, it was great seeing everyone. Thank you all for joining us. Ashley, huge hugs for you.
Thank you.
Take care. You too, Lynn.